Hi.
Hello.
It's funny that actually I just thought of this. Like, I just left a comment in the chat because I'm watching along on my own phone.
Mm-hmm.
But I also had the thought that it may look like this isn't actually live.
Oh, right.
That this is like pre-recorded, and that.
Well, the next one will be.
That's true. The next one will be, and why is that?
Because we're moving in together.
We are moving in together. We're moving, you guys.
I know. I'm really excited.
Oh,
And
me
this
too.
and the space will have a spare bedroom because like right now I'm doing it in my bedroom, and so we'll actually
Right.
be able to like make it look professional, which is going to coincide with me. I'm going to relaunch the whole thing, so
Yeah.
it's like I'm going to. I like the graphics we have. We'll probably like fuck with them a little
We'll
bit.
mess with them, yeah.
The video, I'm going to redo the song. Like it's going to be, and I'm also going to finally man up and start editing things so then we can probably grow, like hopefully grow an audience finally. Cheers, by the way.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Cheers. I haven't even taken a little sippy.
Cheers to Bone Love for Eternity.
Bone love for eternity, everybody. You heard it here first. That is the toast that we just made. We hope you're drinking along with us. For every time we say, I don't know, let's pick a word.
Meatball.
Every time we say meatball, take 10 shots.
Mm-hmm.
And you'll die.
And you'll die.
That's
the
but
fruit
we do
basket
not
way.
take liability for that. But yeah, I'm so excited. So
Well,
we're moving.
in order to listen to this podcast, you have to sign a waiver.
That's true, yeah. Or else you will be responsible for your ears bleeding.
Mm-hmm. Or your ears bleeding, or your
Or
your
you getting
cirrhosis.
clinical depression.
Yeah, clinical depression or your cirrhosis of your liver. But yeah, so
It's super exciting.
Mhm.
We've been together 3.5 years now, so like.
and like I don't think I've ever said it on here. It's possible I have. It would make sense. It would be on brand if I did. But like, we should have. We were like pretty close to doing it before the pandemic hit.
Yeah.
And then it just fucked us.
Yeah.
And then we found a opportunity through which we could do it.
Exactly.
Through means that are financially responsible. So
Yes, exactly. It's a miracle that this place just randomly we got it.
I'm so excited to have like a space for this. Like,
Me too.
Yeah.
Dude. So next time you see us live, we'll be in a different place.
I'm just hoping that we can put enough. Like that's why I gave the tentative date of the 6th, and if it's not the 6th, so like we're gonna do like on the 23rd. We'll air. There's a video like. There's audio of our first episode, but the video I made private just because it's like we only had one camera and like I don't think we had lighting yet.
We had nothing.
Yeah,
Just
so-
my singular camera, my Canon T3i
Yeah.
from 2013.
So it's ugly, but I think it'd be interesting for you guys to hear us because most of you that are listening are not from the beginning.
Yeah, almost everybody.
'Cause you're
Actually.
trying
I
to-
think everybody.
We're trying to pitch it to our friends, and then as time went on, we're like, oh, we're glad our friends don't listen to this.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so so on the 23rd we'll premiere the Lost episode,
The lost episode,
and
episode 1.
we'll be doing stuff, but I might check in while it's going on or something and say hi. Or
Yeah.
whatever.
It'll be easy to drop in the chat,
Mhm.
very easily. But yeah, so we'll be premiering that. Like we did a premiere a while back, and it's still like a countdown. It's still sort of like a live thing. There will still be a live chat, so you can still follow along, but it'll just have a premiere instead of an actual live stream.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I think it'll be interesting for you guys to see that most of the worldviews we hold were the same even 1 year into the Trump presidency.
Isn't that fucking crazy?
And that kind of actually segues me into Tulsi Gabbard.
Let's do it. Let's get it.
So the world is mad at mommy. And
They're big mad.
I don't. Okay. So first of all, what they're mad about with her
You keep saying that.
is that she put out this bill to make sure that Title IX, which the Obama administration actually expanded into something that goes way beyond just women's athletics, but her focus was on women's athletics. Like now this is why like Mattress Girl could exist, where the man got like totally pilloried because he didn't do anything wrong.
Yeah,
like,
of course.
It's expanded into dumb shit, but like her focus is on the sports element. And I want to be very clear because like a lot of people I know and like or don't know and respect have had the stupidest fucking takes on this. And not to mention like, so I've known about Tulsi Gabbard since 2016 or so, right?
Yeah.
Didn't think that she would actually pull the trigger and run for president, but I've known who she was since like I knew who she was when Bernie got fucked and she would not
She
get
didn't
behind
concede.
it. Yes. And so like that's when I pay attention to her of like, okay, this is somebody with integrity more so than he had at the time, but like I kind of maybe got at the time of why he would do it, why he would like just let it go or whatever. But she really stood firm on it. And in 2017, she felt the same way about like, it's not about trans people. It's about male to female individuals that are trans that choose to compete with biological females. It's not fair. It's not. And what's crazy to me is like people that listen to this thing with us that have been following us for quite some time, maybe you just missed the 10 other episodes where I mentioned this is fucking ridiculous.
Yeah, I know.
And okay, like, and so like I saw some takes on Twitter that were like, well, you know, if they take puberty blockers, which is another issue I have a big issue with children taking puberty blockers if they declare they're trans before secondary sex characteristics are present. Watch our James Younger video. This is probably like over about a year and a half ago, where they were like, I will fight and die for trans rights. But is it possible that some special interest groups will get excessive? Is that possible? Is it possible?
Certainly.
Where progress can become regress. Like, and so why is it that Tulsi Gabbard's thing doesn't focus on female to male athletes? Because those people lose at every metric they compete in sports. And why?
Because there's a fundamental difference between being biologically male and biologically female.
Absolutely. And like, what's amazing to me, like, we're the party of science, right? Like, I am so much into science that I think you have a brain abnormality that makes your life super fucking difficult, and I have empathy for these people. But you are not biologically the gender that you pick to be. That is not true, like, of how you're treated medically. You know, a biological male doesn't get uterine cancer, okay? Like, we need to be adults. We have to be fucking adults here. And like, I'm sure there are male to female athletes who are kind of mid-tier competitive, but I've seen enough examples of fucking monsters just crushing women, like biological women in sports. And so like, in Tulsi Gabbard's point, if you watch her 9-minute video, and everybody who is actually upset about this never would, where she's like, I got opportunities for scholarships because I was competitive in sports. And so like, women need this opportunity to get ahead in college, in life, and teamwork, all these kinds of things. And so like, you know, like every story that gets publicized where a trans person does wade into this field, they win every event. So like, you know, like there was a track star, like where it's like you know, you see the women and, you know, they're women, and then you see this male to female black individual who just is like a foot ahead of them and just crushing them in track. And also too, like, that one was actually a great example because it just looked like a man body with like long hair, you know? And so it's like, you could just physically see the problem here. And so I don't get why this is so offensive to people. I don't understand it.
Well, it's regress because this is what it was like in basically the 70s, which is actually Dr. Drew has recently talked about this, where like kids were raised to believe that there was absolutely no difference between men and women.
Yeah, absolutely there is.
And they also were raised to believe that children should be talked to as if they are adults, even about sex and
absolutely
other mature
they should
things.
not.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So like the 70s were a really strange time for upbringing. And we're kind of repeating that, or we're wanting to repeat.
Well,
that.
the parents that are
extreme...
the parents that raised us are like of that era. Like I'm a little older, so my parents are from an earlier time, like the 60s or more of their generation. But like your parents would be late 70s, 80s was kind of like their prime of whatever. So it's like we're kind of talking about like elder Gen X or young baby boomers, kind of the people who like are raising us and just like put these fucking bad ideas into our head, where we can't, I mean, guys, look at these fucking pictures. Like, it's so obvious there is a physical advantage. Like, men on average are way taller. Like,
Yeah.
like there's nothing about puberty blockers that will stop that from happening. Like, there is no way around this. Like, and we're going to get into this thing where I want to just go over like some of the bills that Tulsi Gabbard does, because like when this came out, I thought like, okay, we'll read the whole bill and like try to educate the people that may be listening to this that are like upset about it. And then I was reading it and I'm like, it's super straightforward. Yeah. It's just this. But I realized what she does is she just fucking writes a ton of fucking bills.
Yeah, that's what I was unaware of. So I thought that this was the only bill that she was introducing, this and the marijuana one.
She's got a ton.
She's got a ton, but I didn't realize, and I thought, like, come on, Tulsi, just focus your efforts on something else. But it turns out she has a very broad, a very wide focus, and that she's launched a ton of bills and not just this trans one.
Right. And with this trans one in particular, and this is like what many of her bills does, is like, in the last 6 months, how many times has she put out a bill where she started trending on Twitter?
Every single time she does it.
Nearly, right?
Yeah.
Like it's more often than not, and it's like, so like take like this issue in particular. It was made clear to me by Shoe on Head and people who listen to this podcast that this is a conversation that is not allowed to be had about like maybe
people that listen to this podcast.
You know, maybe
not you guys in the chat.
No, yeah,
not you guys.
Maybe biological males might have or might have an advantage over biological females, like regardless of, like, and maybe their psychological condition. And to be clear, do I think that being gay is something that happens in the brain that is like a quote unquote defect in terms of like the biological imperative? Yeah. Mm-hmm. So like people are like, well, did you? You know, gay used to be mental illness. Well, it kind of is. It's a mental abnormality.
Exactly,
like,
abnormality.
It makes no biological sense, like as is gender dysphoria. So like I believe this exists.
Yeah.
But
well, it doesn't make biological sense, but we've talked about it in the past before where it's like it serves a purpose in the community, in like the gene pool to like slow down population growth, to like all of these things. It still does serve a purpose to be gay.
Well, and the culture's
not, it doesn't biologically make a whole lot of sense, but it still like it still dictates, and it happens naturally for that reason.
And cultures that were like socially more advanced in some ways actually did understand the utility of people like us, which was they're not the hunter and gatherers, but if someone comes and invades our village, they'll stay back with the women and like fight them off
and protect them. Yeah,
because men are
they have a physical advantage,
right?
Yeah.
And so it's like I don't get this thing of like,
we say that, and I'm like a 5'8" wafy twink,
but
men have the physical advantage, sweetheart.
But like you with a 5'8" female who is your build, who would stand a better chance?
I mean, statistics would say that I would.
You would, like, you would. And so I just don't understand how we've gotten to this point to where it's like, why are we not allowed to talk about this? Or just like, and that's my point about her doing all these bills, is like, this conversation needs to be had, like, desperately. And like a lot of what the trans community is doing, like, and I know that the pandemic and the fucking like George Floyd, all this shit has like made this like cultural stuff less important, but this is the shit, and we've been talking about for years. So like if you found us, like, I guess somehow these people missed the episodes in which I've talked about this like ad nauseum about like, and because like me being against identity politics is because 10 years ago nearly, I was getting called a fucking transphobe for asking reasonable questions about trans people by white straight people.
Yeah, of course.
And they are the ones that are like calling Tulsi a fucking transphobe now.
And they're the ones that got Steve banned on Twitter.
Right, which we should talk about as well.
I think Steve actually mentioned that he said we can talk
about
it.
Yeah. I was already planning on it, but fortunately he gave me the go ahead anyway. Steve got a 7-day suspension on Twitter, which I actually, you know, it's no disrespect to him or his content, but I was actually surprised it took this long.
Yeah, Steve, who we've had on our show twice now, Steve Cox, he got a 7-day suspension for calling somebody a honky cracker, which is hilarious to me.
Yes, like, and so I think Steve learned, you know,
firsthand.
The two times we've had Steve on, this particular thing was a big focus of what I was talking to him about. And I'm trying to think of like how to.
Well, we warned him about identity politics stuff.
And like we also had an episode about cultivating an audience that doesn't really like you. They just like like one thing that you say.
Yes.
Right? And so like I think for Steve, when George Floyd happened, he attracted a lot of white, well-meaning but ignorant progressives. And it grew his audience, and in fairness to him, like it was a worthwhile cause to be vocal about. But I think he learned the hard way that these people will turn on you so fucking fast.
Oh yeah,
because they don't like you. They like that take you had.
We had a whole episode, I think, talking about this. I don't even know if it was with him, but we definitely talked about it with him. It's just like, if you, cultivating an audience, particularly on the left, people like Vosh or like, I think Shu is a little different because she has a pretty diverse thinking audience.
But she has worms in her brain.
She does. Now. She has like,
she won't stop.
She
it's
has
like in the last month.
Acute worms in her brain. Yeah, acute. The thing is, like, people like Vosh and like Hasanabi, like these people, like, they sound like super smart and they get this huge audience, but the minute they say something that could be even remotely perceived as racist, transphobic, as they're canceled completely. Their whole audience turns on them. I think this happened to Shane Dawson like 15 times.
Oh, of course. And well, I mean, and I think that like his like, and he's actually a great example because the reason why his audience turns on him all the time is because he's pretending to be the like nice guy. It's like what happened to like Ellen, even though she's a total, like she's Satan, but like, it's still the same thing of like people, like average people will turn on you if you pretend to be something you're not, you know?
Also, this recently happened to Jenna Marbles. She's completely off the internet now because of it.
I don't blame her.
So like it happened to her. So she's been canceled many, many times, but like over like old videos she had. She did a video where she pretended to be Nicki Minaj, but she didn't do blackface. She's just had like a really dark self-tanner that she always wore in every single video, and she was wearing a pink wig. She did a Nicki Minaj cosplay or whatever and got like in big trouble for that. Didn't say any big words or anything like that.
And it was probably all white people and then like one super effeminate black gay twink. That was probably the like, and then that was a validation through which they could be like, oh, cancel her, bitch.
Yeah. And then another thing, she did like a music video called like, I forget what it was, bounce on that dick or something like that. And there's a line in the song where she says something like ching chong and like rhymes it with King Kong, let me see your ding dong or something like that.
Yeah.
Ridiculous and stupid,
cares?
But it was like 2008, so who gives a fuck?
Right.
She's like all oiled up, her tits are out. It's like, this was who she was back then. She was kind of like the sexy shock figure.
Right.
She's not really anymore. She wasn't for like a little while, and then these old videos, which were privated, like she didn't have them up anymore, but resurfaced. Somebody saved them, resurfaced them, was like, hey, your fave is problematic, and she got canceled. And so her whole audience like turned on her, and then not her whole audience, but like a big part of it, enough to make her feel as though she wasn't wanted anymore, and now she's off the internet.
And I think that like really all it takes is like when you're building an audience being like, I will never apologize. Never. Because like I only apologize to individuals that I speak to where I directly hurt their feelings and I care. Like people who just listen to what you're saying, I know you all pretty well, but I don't know you personally. So it's like, I don't have control over you feeling emotional about the things that I say. It's impossible. So but I'm sure she apologized. I'm sure she did.
She did,
yeah. And it's just
the thing is, she referenced all the previous times she had apologized for it, and then she left the internet. It wasn't like, I am so sorry for what I did. It's like, no, I've already said I'm sorry for these things. Shane Dawson, I think, did the same thing, but like still, she felt like cornered enough where she was like, you know what, I'm done. I'm gonna retire.
Yeah, I think the difference is that like she wasn't looking to like rehab her career, you know.
Right.
And so like that's I guess admirable in a way. What does she do? Like how does she make money now? What does she do?
That's all she was doing. She was doing YouTube and her podcast, which like granted were very lucrative for her.
Right.
Like millions of views.
She's probably like taking a couple of years off and then she'll come back.
For sure.
Yeah.
She could easily, I'm sure she bought her house in cash. Like she's not paying rent. I'm sure she has plenty of money saved. I think she's fine.
You know what's crazy too? Like the people that like claim to be like self-styled progressive, like I gotta be honest, guys, like I don't think, because Shu was like, I showed you Shu, right?
Yes. Yeah. You
So
introduced me to her.
like I found her because there were no people like me who were progressive shitting on the excesses of feminism. Like it was just like it got like, and I'm gay, so I have no stakes in this, but I was watching mostly online women just, they were granted some power and they just abused the fuck out of it. So like to have a progressive girl call that out was so refreshing. So like that's how I found her, was like, and it started in Gamergate. Like that's Chris Reagan, her, Count Dankula, like all these people kind of came out of that thing, and like she's the only one that I really stuck with, you know? People like Vosh were just, they would have been Gamergate people. And like I don't get why she doesn't realize this, of like this guy is not, I think he's smart. I think he's well spoken. I think he's good at hosting the show that he does, but he doesn't have principles or morals, or he thinks he does. But they like to someone like Vosh, anybody that doesn't align with 100% of what he believes in is the enemy.
Yeah.
So like,
if you've ever watched any of his streams, he's like spending half the time banning people.
And like it's not even just that. Like I mean, like, you know, for example, like, you know, I don't agree with Steve on everything, but like we could do a 3-hour interview with him where we didn't leave it not being friends.
Exactly.
And like, you know, so I know to a lot of people that have listened to us, or just in general, like Michael Tracy's a controversial figure. But I like Michael Tracy because he was honest about Russiagate, right? Honest about Russiagate, and like as he's being super honest now about this Trump lawsuit shenanigans thing, because he views it to be the same way, even though the media isn't pretending that it matters at all. Because like the media is covering the Trump thing like they should have covered Russiagate. But so Michael Tracy, like, you know, he had some kind of objections about the protests, and like just went to different states and filmed it and talked to people who participated and business owners more than Vosh ever did. And then Vosh said to have him on because everyone's like, debate Vosh, debate Vosh. I've not seen a debate with him that's in good faith. It's all like, so Michael Tracy comes on and it's like, oh, nice to see you. Do you know you're a fucking asshole? And it was like, Michael's like, what the fuck? Like, and he does this every time where it's like and I think he fucking sucks. Like please, if you're progressive, abandon these people. Like they are the kind of people that like if the Nazis invaded, they would be like, well, Sieg Heil, motherfucker, like I'm in on this. Like their morals are so flimsy and again, the people who get canceled, like if we had any notoriety, like there are tons of me doing Chinese accent. I mean, you could find so many things like to cancel me over, but it's like the kind of thing of like, I won't stop being that person because people are mad at me. It won't happen. I can't not be me. What you hear, like talking to you right now, is how I talk all the time.
Yeah.
And I've made your friends super uncomfortable, and mine too. I can't not be this person. It's impossible. Like,
it's so entertaining.
But I'm also an entertainer. Like I like long before I ever did this, and why I started it was because I just was not like performing anymore. So I'm like, I need another venue to do this. And so like, but because I'm performing with my words, I can't, like with music, you can't be dishonest. If you're dishonest, people can tell you're acting.
Yeah.
You know, and music is raw, you know. It's not like acting a role. It's different. It's a different kind of thing. So people like Vosh, he believes it, but I think his foundation is fucking flimsy if the tides turn on him.
They will.
And they
quickly.
will.
I've said this to many people recently.
Recently
within the
there's
last
like
6 months,
5 clips of him that are way worse than anything I've ever said.
Yes.
And he got around it. I don't know how, but anyway, I'm sorry.
But eventually his whole audience will turn on him, or a large enough portion will turn on him to the point where he has to severely apologize, and he'll never have the same impact. So it's going to happen to him. It's going to happen to any progressive, because people are not perfect, but sometimes they are... I guess what I mean to say is, like, sometimes they hold opinions that you may not find favorable, but we have to...
And that's okay.
Yeah, we have to respect that there's an allowed diversity of thought in this community.
That gets me back to the Tulsi thing, because I want to look... because... So... Okay, so you saw this thing, right? Mm-hmm. And to be totally transparent to the people that like may not have listened to us since the beginning... She stood for this Title IX thing 3 years ago, and I supported it 3 years ago. Mm-hmm. I think I made it very clear in the front. Like, like male to females in sports with women, biological women, is a fucking problem. Puberty blockers are a fucking problem. Like people declaring they're trans before secondary sex characteristics are present is a fucking problem to me. So if that's not been clear to you now, I don't know. Do I have to say it like every time? Because there is a fucking problem in this community, like because conversation is not allowed to be had. Without getting in trouble. And so, like, let's just go through her bills.
Yeah, I'm glad we can look at this.
Because she is interesting. Because, like, there are some things that are kind of what would be viewed to be as reactionary right, but mostly left. And so, like, if you're a progressive, you should support at least 65 to 70% of the bill she writes.
Yes.
And so, like, to throw the baby out with the bathwater, where she introduces this one thing and mommy's dead to you, it's like, get the fuck out of here. Like, what are you doing? So,
all right, the first result, you guys, repeal the Patriot Act and the FISA amendments of 2008 and for other purposes. Imagine that. Repealing the Patriot Act, that's something we all stand for.
Right, exactly.
That is the most progressive thing I've seen. Privacy.
Right.
Imagine having that back.
And I don't know if you guys knew, but, like, Trump suspended the Patriot Act.
Yeah.
But we know Uncle Joe Biden, who wrote it, is going to
reinstate,
make a very fun new version of it.
Yeah.
So let's see, HR 86. I think this is the one. Oh no, this is different. Here we go.
Incentivize a bill to incentivize affordable and transit-oriented development. Wow.
Right. So progressive. Okay.
To modify the low-income housing credit. Yeah.
Right.
That's a progressive thing. To the third one. Let's see. To recommend certain projects in remote, coastal, and small watersheds and for other purposes. To authorize the Secretary of the Army, acting through the Chief of Engineers, to do that. That's great.
I mean, I
remote,
like,
coastal, and small watersheds. Water.
Yeah. So that one's kind of so. That actually is probably more of a right-wing thing.
Is
right?
it really?
Yeah, because I think that, like, what that one's essentially saying is that, like, we need military on the water, right? And so, like, and building, like, military infrastructure, like, on the water.
Oh.
And she's not, like,
I misunderstood.
Despite her, like, she's anti-conflict, but she's not totally anti-military. Like, which is kind of, I think, maybe something. It's something that I had to kind of, like, a bitter pill to swallow.
Yeah. I think she may be, like, anti-foreign intervention.
Yes, that's
like,
what it is.
Things that we are not involved in, we just should not touch.
And reducing the budget, but still not letting it not exist. Like, that's kind of her.
Having, like, a national defense.
Reasonable, right?
She's in the National Guard, so it's like, it makes sense
right.
that she would want that.
So let's see here.
So
this is a right-wing one. All right,
the
you ready?
next one is to amend Title 18 United States Code to protect pain-capable unborn children and for other purposes. So this is the abortion one.
Late-term abortion.
Late-term abortion, and if the child survives the abortion, that they should not be
in pain.
Yeah.
And
that they should be revived.
To be clear,
if they live.
I'm pro-choice, but I find late-term abortion, if it's not going to kill the mother, to be repugnant.
Well, let's be honest. Like, late-term abortion is, like, so uncommon. It's not common enough for it to even really be a huge talking point, but it happens to the point where, like, these are lives that need to be accounted for. Like, a late-term abortion and the child survives the abortion. Yeah, like, don't kill the child after it survives the abortion.
Exactly.
That's, like, what that bill is.
Right.
Which, that doesn't sound right-wing to me. That just sounds like
reasonable.
That just sounds, reasonable.
Right.
That just sounds like, but don't.
To the progressives that hate her for this Title IX thing, that's right-wing.
Of course, yeah.
Okay, let's get this one here.
The next one, to direct the Secretary of Health and Human Services, acting through the Director of the CDC, to establish a standardized procedure for all states to submit weekly reports on hospital policies and metrics related to the response to COVID-19.
Right. So
Great.
It makes sense during
hospitals
what's going on.
have to tell the government what they're doing as they're responding to COVID-19.
So keep in mind, the one that everyone's mad about is number 6. So remember the argument about, like, why now, Tulsi? Why now? Like, there's more important shit to be focusing on right now. Yeah. So this one about COVID was newer than the one about Title IX. So let's read the Title IX one.
Title IX.
Yeah.
To provide that for purposes of determining compliance with Title IX of the Education Amendments of 1972 in athletics, sex shall be determined on the basis of biological sex as determined at birth by a physician. Yeah.
Okay, right? Okay.
That title means, like, that's just the most straightforward title.
When I was looking through this is interesting because she's done two abortion things now. So here's the next one.
Yeah, to amend Title 18 United States Code to ensure a healthcare practitioner exercises the proper degree of care in the case of a child who survives an abortion or attempted abortion. So that's what I was referring to. Sorry, I didn't know there were two separate bills.
And good.
Yeah.
You should.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine like something that comes out and survives it and you kill it. I mean, it's just like, or let it die. I mean, that is like look, guys, I am not a believer in Jesus or like any like deity that is dictated by in the last 2,000 years. Like it's not what I like, but I do believe I'm against the death penalty and I'm against killing things that are alive, and I don't have the ego to pretend that I know when life starts or stops.
Mm-hmm.
But like drugs, I think that like, yeah, if you legalize all drugs, some people will end up doing drugs that wouldn't have done them before, like hard drugs. But I think it's better for the greater good to allow people to have this choice, right? Similar to abortion. I think it's atrocious. Like I think that it's an option that people should be allowed to exercise if they want, because if they don't have it, like drugs, they'll get arrested, die. People, like their friends, if they're overdosing, they can't call the fucking cops because they'll get arrested. And with abortion, my dad was an RA at Berkeley, and he had to literally carry a woman to the hospital who tried to give herself an abortion with a coat hanger because it wasn't legal there. So that is what happens when you restrict, like with any prohibition of anything. It just doesn't go well. Humans will do what they have to do, and if you don't have a sterile medical environment to do these things, it gets really fucking dark.
Yeah, prohibiting abortions. This is the common thing that people say, like progressives say. It's like, but it's true. Like prohibiting abortions does not reduce the number of abortions. It just increases the number of unsafe abortions.
Yep. Exactly.
So
let it happen.
Yeah, let it happen.
Yeah.
But of course, let there be metrics through which it can happen.
Sure.
Like what Tulsi's
and like,
proposing.
could we be any more objective as two gay men on this particular issue?
Right.
It's like, because I want to have children with you, but it's hard and expensive. Yeah. It'll be really fucking expensive. Yeah. So I probably can't until I've thought about it way more than most 22-year-olds farting out a fucking kid they don't even really want.
Exactly.
So like,
yeah. I also find us to be very lucky though that we're able to choose and decide when we're ready to do
I just hope that just the money thing is like,
of course.
But anyway, just like, because there's actually some things she's written recently that are about that.
The next one, to amend the Communications Act of 1934 to limit interactive computer service immunity.
So like that's about like Internet Bill of Rights essentially. So it's like,
got it.
Yeah. So like it's about that like free speech on the internet should apply to privacy. Companies, which directly affected her. So she's got a bunch about that, of course. Yeah.
Is that the one that's there's another that's maybe
she's got
about
like
tech
10
companies.
She's got 10 about that.
Yeah. Dalreese, hello, welcome.
Hello, Dalreese.
Dalreese and I connected on Instagram.
Did
finally.
you? Cool.
Yeah. I just wasn't aware that it was Dalreese, so I was like,
oh, really?
Hey, what's up?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're just going through Tulsi Gabbard's record here because everyone's mad about her for apparently being a transphobe, even though it's fucking ridiculous. Okay, so
to amend the Agricultural Research Extension and Education Reform Act of '98 with respect to grants for certain area-wide integrated pest management projects and for other purposes.
I don't know. Agriculture. I don't know any of that shit.
Yeah,
I'm not going to pretend to.
Next one, to award Congressional Gold Medal to the Freedom Riders collectively in recognition of their unique contribution to civil rights, which inspired a revolutionary movement for equality in interstate travel.
All right, let's keep
the Freedom Riders were the people who rode buses from state to state during the civil rights movement.
Let's keep rolling.
Great. Let's give them a fucking gold medal. Absolutely, we should. To amend Title 18 United States Code to provide that offenses committed on the basis of political affiliation constitute hate crimes and for other purposes.
Right. So like violence, if you commit violence based on your political ideology, which is essentially domestic terrorism, it should be a fucking problem.
Yeah, absolutely agree with that. Yeah, and that goes both ways. If a MAGA person beats me to a fucking pulp, I want them to be like charged for a hate crime. Right. And same with the other. If Antifa beats me to a pulp, I want them to be charged.
Of course, naturally. And so this one's about energy. It's not very interesting, so we can just move on.
Don't push my buttons act. That's cute. Ensuring survivors benefits during COVID-19 Act of 2020.
So
is this a veteran thing? Yeah, it is.
Veterans. Yep. Okay.
To protect our veterans during COVID. Yeah. To amend the Alice Spotted Bear and Walter Soboleff Commission on Native Children Act to extend the deadline for a report by the Alice Spotted Bear and Walter Soboleff Commission on Native Children and for other purposes. I don't even. So this is a natural resource committee problem.
Yeah, so it's about animals and Native American. I mean, like,
Yeah.
My point is like she's the progressive you want, you fucking idiots.
Yeah.
Like, don't you fucking get it? Like, so
The next one, dude.
hang on. Perry says integrated pest management is good, helps reduce pesticide use.
There you go.
Progressive. Fucking progressive.
Yeah.
Okay, so like
The next one is very important. Protect Brave Whistleblowers Act of 2020. Protect people who disclose to 0 co-sponsors. That is insane. Protect people who are brave enough to disclose to the United States population that their government is fucking them. Wow. Yeah, protect them. That's why we want to fucking pardon Assange and like all of these people who and Snowden and like people who have our best interest in mind may cause a slight panic, but like it's important that these people are protected. What are we looking at?
That one.
Election Fraud Prevention Act.
So that one would have made people very angry because
Yes,
it was kind of in line with the Trump thing.
Yeah.
But as again, I have said on this podcast, I don't find Trump's thing to be anything other than petty.
Mm-hmm.
But simultaneously, we have not had a mail-in voting thing like this since the 1800s.
Yeah.
So isn't it important to know if, like, to investigate if ballot harvesting is a thing that's a problem, or that votes can be altered, or these Dominion machines? Like, I don't really care that anybody isn't looking at this because I would like to know too.
Yeah.
Because I think that mail-in voting, because in lieu of us being able to vote on the internet, because they won't allow that to happen, even though I can fucking get my tax returns on the IRS website
Literally
securely.
Yeah.
Mail-in voting is the next best option. So I would like to know if it's secure. I'd like to know.
Yeah,
So
of course.
I was fine with that. Didn't bother me at all.
The next one is not one written by or not directly sponsored by Tulsi, but she's a co-sponsor. There's 187 co-sponsors on this one. It's the I Am Vanessa Guillen Act, who we've talked about before, who was murdered on Fort Hood.
Yep.
And since then, they found like many other bodies in Fort Hood, which
Yep.
I'm sure this is just like a fort accountability
And who
bill.
was the most visible person during that time period on Twitter in
Oh, Tulsi was talking about this nonstop.
Okay, let's just keep moving. Then
Yeah.
we'll move on. But
Let's.
'cause I'm beating my point into the fucking dirt
Well,
right
keeps-
now.
I want to find more that she's.
Yeah. So
Oh wait, actually, I want to talk about the hemp one.
yeah.
Because hemp has been fucking banned for so long, and it's like the miracle fiber.
And hemp was banned, if you guys don't know, by the Hearst, like the newspaper magnate, because it would have cost him more money to print his newspapers on hemp than it would have been on paper. So like that's literally why hemp's illegal.
So hemp and hemp-derived CBD Consumer Protection and Market Stabilization Act of 2020. She's a co-sponsor of this one, along with 26 other people. That is something like if we completely decriminalized like growing of hemp, imagine like we would save so much water, we would save energy. Hemp grows on such little water, and correct me if I'm wrong, Perry, but it is like one of the most sustainable.
Yes, it is
most sustainable.
It's a desert crop. Like it doesn't like I mean it doesn't take it's super abundant. It's not super thirsty. Like it is a much more efficient source than cotton actually.
Exactly. We can make cotton-like garments, and cotton is also like a miracle fiber, but it's still way more expensive and it takes way more water than hemp. So like hemp would give us like the shirt you're wearing could be made of hemp if we wanted it to be.
Yeah, and it would feel
and
exactly
the
the same.
It would look exactly the same. It's a natural fiber. It's amazing that we've completely just disregarded it. Like when we first founded this country, that's what they were growing. They were growing hemp.
Right. Well, and Jefferson talked about it a lot. I mean, like this is like
Yeah.
it is a founding crop. So like I'm just gonna read the titles and then you guys can just okay.
Yes.
So Federal Reserve Sunshine Act, it's to like literally, because the Federal Reserve is not a government agency, but they control our money.
Yes.
I would like to get some sunshine on that shit, right? Progressive. Stop the Censorship Act. Yeah, like
stop censoring it.
Progressive, maybe libertarian, fine.
Yeah.
Barrel Equality Act for Guards and Reserves Act, like caring about veterans, progressive. COVID-19 Data Transparency Act. I would like to know about that.
Yeah,
the
I
internet,
want the data.
The internet being open and transparent is a progressive thing. A Coronavirus Economic Relief Program for Transportation Services Act. Like so, what that was about was like paying transportation, like not laying off transportation workers during the COVID-19 pandemic.
And luckily, it has 270 co-sponsors, so that will probably go through.
Well, but this is the thing I want you guys to notice. It's introduced. Nothing gets past anything.
Ever.
Like,
yeah.
and so, okay, so like Flexible Financing for Rural America Act, which is about like farmers who choose, like I did go through this stuff, and actually like farmers who choose to buy property to farm, which feeds us to make their interest rates lower for if they choose to buy property. Progressive. Okay, Emancipation Statue Removal Act. So removing statues that are like the ones that
like
were erected.
Confederate statues.
The ones that were erected in 1960 to just fuck with black people. I mean, like those. Equitable Payments for Nursing Facilities Act. Okay, like Money Mule Awareness Act. I don't know what that one is. Home Investment Part. There's one that I wanted to get to actually. The COVID-19 Hospital and Health Provider Loan Forgiveness Act. Taxpayer Research and Coronavirus Knowledge Act of 2020.
Yeah.
So the people who were giving the take of why now, Tulsi, you've not been paying attention to what she's been doing for months, and like she's fought for like higher unemployment payments during all this. Like she's a fucking. I mean, she is who you want. I don't get why people like are so.
Let's do a little segue. Let's talk about the stimulus checks or the unemployment benefits, because it seems like it's going to be one or the other.
I think they'll both come together, but it's hilarious. So the Pelosi's a fucking joke. Right.
Yes.
Like, and everyone wants to blame Mitch McConnell. Yeah, I know. But she had the opportunity to have a negotiating ability to get past something that was like in the 1.8 trillion range, and because, as in her own words, she didn't want Donald Trump to have checks with his name on it, and like something that could potentially help him bolster some support to win the election. Even though I think that you had the whole apparatus working against him, so like the media apparatus working against him, through which the pandemic would have killed him either way. You stopped aid getting to over 30 million Americans now for your own ego and for your party of people who are worth at least $2 million at the minimum. Yeah. So like that's what you cared about, Nancy Pelosi. And now what we have is a bill that she's now accepting and actually talking to them about, which she refused to do while Trump was like might have been the incumbent president that might have won, where the best offer they have right now that go to American people, no matter how many billions of dollars you see, is $600 in a stimulus check.
If that goes through, the total amount of money the government will have given you by the end of this pandemic is $1,800. How much would you have made if you were still working for the last 9 to 10 months? And how does $1,800 compare to it? The government being like, yeah, here's your money. Here's $1,800 for 10 months.
Because none of these people know what it costs to live anymore. They have no idea.
The people who are content with $1,800 total from the government are the pajama class.
Yes, pajama class.
They are the pajama class. Who coined that?
That is some
genius.
woman on Twitter. She was actually like, I think she writes for the New York Post. She was a writer.
Yeah.
And she had just had it one day and was just like, you fucking dumb idiots. Like, don't you realize what's going on here? And like it was about business closures. And like, New York Post is right of center, and so as I assume she is too. But like, speaking of the Tulsi Gabbard thing, right-leaning people aren't wrong all the time, guys. Like, so like, get a fucking grip. Like, just because they're not like exactly what you want, they may be telling the truth sometimes. And like about lockdowns, like about like outdoor dining, that's when she coined pajama class of like, they don't have to worry about this shit. And she's in the pajama class. She's a fucking writer for the New York Post. And like, God damn it. Like, it's so frustrating. And
so like pajama class is people who are content with working from home because they still have their jobs. And so they're drinking rosé every night at 5 p.m. as soon as they're off the clock.
Kill grandma. What are you doing?
Yeah, I'm just going to order Postmates every day.
Didn't you hear that the cases are rising all across?
Yeah, didn't you hear? So these people, the pajama class, are the ones who will be content and will say yes, queen, to fucking Nancy Pelosi, who's only gonna give us $600.
And again, like, to the people who go, what about McConnell?
We said this on the last one.
Isn't it possible that she might be a villain too?
Yes. We've expected McConnell to be a villain.
He's been a villain in my life for 15 years. And before retarded Pelosi, it was John Boehner in her job, who was a total piece of shit. Mm-hmm. So like, I always hate to do the thing of like not you, but like to people that I talk to about this kind of stuff of like my age, of like, I lived through things you don't quite understand. Like,
yeah.
Like of just like McConnell is a fixture in my life. Lindsey Graham, like these people have been in my life my whole adult life. Yeah. I know who they are. Pelosi was like Pelosi and Feinstein, who finally had to resign because she admitted she had dementia.
Oh, Feinstein did resign?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Fuck, I didn't see that.
Yeah.
That's big news.
Well, I don't know if she officially has, but it's the dominoes are falling. It's gonna happen.
See ya.
So
get out.
So like, and because she, it's interesting because like, you watch Pelosi talk and it's insane. I mean, like she's out of her fucking mind, but she has enough of her marbles there. But like the problem was like they had like the Amy Coney Barrett thing, and Feinstein asked the same question twice. People were like,
yeah,
what the fuck is going on? So like, and then I think some staffer of hers leaked like she's got
dementia. I did see that. Yeah. Okay, so if you ended up unemployed and got on unemployment during the pandemic for the first 4 months, it was fantastic.
Yeah.
I mean, you said actually before on the podcast, like you had friends who for the first time in their lives had savings.
Yeah.
Fantastic. But then it ran out and they didn't renew it.
Since May.
So yeah, what was that? That's only like a few months. From March to May, only a couple months, you guys.
And let's be fucking real here. Like the this virus is going to mutate. So like,
yeah,
I'm not seeing the point of the vaccine. I'm really not seeing it.
Yeah.
Because it's like, inoculate the very vulnerable, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it seems to be like every medical expert that is like into this vaccine is saying like, oh, you're still not gonna be able to get around people. So I'm like, what is like, this should be the answer.
Yeah.
But it's not. Like there are like, it's already mutated in Europe a few times. It's like, and because when it mutates, it's like this RNA vaccine is not going to do shit. So it's like, would our leaders not offer assistance since May if they took it very seriously?
Yeah. I think the issue is that like our leaders are elites.
Yeah.
And they have so if they did get sick, they'd have the best care possible. If they don't get sick,
and it's free.
They still have their jobs.
They have like government paid health benefits for all of them.
Government paid health benefits. They still have their jobs. Their jobs are not going away because they run the country.
Mm-hmm.
They have no connection, people like you and I. No connection to the people who work at the ports in San Pedro. Like,
nope.
No connection to anybody working class, anybody who's millennial or Gen Z, like, who works a fucking waiting job. They have no idea what it's like to be any of us
because they've been in politics for so long. And like it was interesting. Like again, like I'm not a Republican. This should be clear to you at this point if you listen to me for a long time.
Yeah.
And like, but the average age of Democrats in the House is 75 years old. The average age of Republicans is 52. So what the fuck is going on? Yeah. Like you guys like in terms of like what we call the ruling class, is it the person who's like barely a Gen X person who saw economic hardship based on like Reagan's fuck ups and then had prosperity through Clinton and then NAFTA and then they got fucked again? It's like, are those people that have a better awareness of what's going on, or Nancy Pelosi who's fucking 80 and worth $114 million?
Yeah, dude.
So like,
unbelievable.
And again, like to this Tulsi thing, and like also this fucking division about whatever, and like Josh Hawley and Bernie Sanders worked together to even get this $600 thing in, which it's penance, but it'll help us buy a couch for a new apartment.
Yeah.
Right? And that was Bernie Sanders, who surprised me. He actually stepped up with a Republican Josh Hawley, and they were cool with each other and got something progressive done for people who are fucked right now.
Yeah.
Like, just stop it. Like, just
Yeah.
I don't know.
Greg says he's allergic to the vaccine.
A lot of people are going to anaphylactic shock. I've heard
That
that's like
is
a few different
scary.
things. Yeah.
And you and Dalreese, I think, are in the same boat. He said, I'm not taking it until I see the average effects. I need long-term studies done.
But on the bright side, so like if it is something like that, like, look, guys, I mean, like, everybody who listens to this, we're not getting it till fucking August.
Yeah.
Like they're saying like late spring.
We're
early
not
summer.
even in a priority
No,
bracket.
so like, but like they're saying even for our bracket, it wouldn't happen until late spring or early summer. And like as we've known for the timeline of all this COVID shit, it'll be August at the like at the best.
Yeah.
And so we'll get a lot of test subjects to see what's going on. But anaphylaxis has been a fucking problem. Now so much so that they like now make you take the first dose and you have to hang out there for like an hour to see what happens.
Why wouldn't they just like ask you for your allergies and then give you the vaccine?
But that's what makes it freaky is it's not it's an RNA vaccine. Like this has not been done before.
Oh, that's right. So it's like completely unpredictable.
And so like what this vaccine does was like it literally changes the proteins in your system to fight this particular virus, which is scientifically fucking dope.
Yeah.
But like that causing anaphylaxis in people is and also Bell's palsy. Did you see that one too, where a bunch of people are getting Bell's palsy from it as well?
Yeah, I did see that.
So it's kind of like this new thing. I'm just glad that like I know Perry's super into it. Like I will probably get it. Like just like probably from my mother, to be honest.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, but I'm glad that I am very low on the list of
like
necessary people to get it.
Yeah, exactly. We're not high risk. So yeah, that's fascinating to me. So mRNA is like the messenger part of your body. From DNA to DNA, there are these little pieces that bring information from one to the next. It can bring, I guess, like the idea is that it's going to bring information that's injected into you to your DNA so that it can produce whatever.
Yep.
Is that the idea?
Yeah, like so, like essentially, like very, very, very simply, and Perry, like I think, like Perry's like probably the most scientific person in like in this whole community. But like what I understand is like essentially what it like very layman version of what it does is like it doesn't change your DNA, but it injects a code through which your body creates proteins to fight COVID-19.
Yeah,
like that's what it does.
Yeah.
And so
fascinating.
Yeah.
Really cool science.
But we should fucking roll through all we have here.
Yeah, we're already almost at an hour.
Yeah.
Let's switch over to this.
So the meatball is at it again.
Meatball is back.
And
yeah,
like so let's pull up this thing here and
what did he do this time? Are you surprised? New York Governor Cuomo accused of sexual harassment by former advisor who alleges his behavior went on for years.
So before I get into like what's important to me, is I want you to look at this woman, the woman who's accusing him, this Lindsay Boylan. So read her bio.
Mom, progressive New Yorker fighting for a livable city, former state government official and urban planner, candidate for Manhattan Borough president.
So this isn't Christine Blasey Ford. This is a progressive.
Yeah.
Who is accusing the son of a former mayor and governor. Yeah. This is like a political dynasty that's in New York. So like, and this is a progressive woman accusing this. Could anyone be more like? Of course, like Governor Nipple Rings definitely did it. So, but okay, so okay. Remember, like I know you deeply remember Kavanaugh.
Oh, yes.
Trump and the pussy tape, believe all women, everything's rape. Let's read the comments on MSNBC.
Yep. The timing. Russia hacks the federal government. The administration is the first crew to receive vaccine. The electoral vote on Monday. ... Come on. Even though Mr. Andrew Cuomo is not my governor, he is a gentleman with integrity, so I don't believe at all any lies against him. He cares for people, and he has been showing respect for everyone's lives. And this is...
Catherine.
Okay,
so it's a woman. Okay.
If this was going on for years, why is she waiting until he's being considered for AG position to bring it up?
Okay, let's keep going.
Another woman. Lori Williams, I guess, says, most women should speak out after day one. I'd shine a big old spotlight on this to see what bugs crawl out of her and her story, just like what happened with Tara Reid.
Let's keep going.
Another woman. I'll march and support folks who are harassed or discriminated against. Although there's probably excellent reasons, I struggle with allegations that happened years ago that are just now reported. I'm not saying I don't believe the accusation.
Christina Blasey Ford was 40 fucking years ago.
Yeah.
And you all were apoplectic about it.
Yeah.
You fucking
her
dumb
hashtags.
cunts.
So Gwen's hashtags in her display name are hashtag BLM, hashtag I'm with Joe and Kamala, hashtag rock our
All right, let's keep going.
Super dem. G. Callahan says, if she's going to accuse Governor Cuomo of sexual harassment for years, she must provide evidence and name names of witnesses. Otherwise, it's just like what GOP Trump does when he makes baseless accusations. She put herself in this position. No one else did. Very weak, not credible.
So Greg
Good
says not
Lord.
not the commenters calling Cuomo a supreme gentleman. Let's go ahead and put that in there.
Supreme.
Wow. I am so grateful and feel noticed as a fellow supreme gentleman like our great leader at Andrew Cuomo.
There you go. New York
Where is
Governor
it?
Cuomo. Go back.
There
Yeah,
it is.
New York Gov Cuomo. Yeah.
Proud
This is
to
great.
be an American
American.
today. Exclamation point. A lot of them.
A lot of them. I love this.
I'm
I'm with him.
a Democrat.
Oh.
Not bad, right?
That's not bad.
All
yeah.
right.
That's
Do I have any
fantastic.
typos? I don't think so. right?
No, just post
right,
it.
replay.
Even if you did, it'd be funny.
All right. So, believe all women unless it's not politically expeditious, right? So,
Exactly,
So,
yeah,
on the one hand, and you know why this happened, right? So, they were considering him for AG, which we'll get into the Pete Buttigieg thing over this. Look, I've not seen a stupider person on TV for the last 6 months than Andrew Cuomo.
Yeah, he's
and
a
his
fucking dumbass.
and his brother, who he probably has sex with. These are the dumbest people on TV, and so, whether or not it's true, if this keeps him from having a position in the federal government, in the presidency cabinet,
Yeah.
I'm all for it. Fine, so. Dude,
Yeah.
the fuck isn't the hypocrisy crazy?
It's absolutely insane.
Yeah. So
It's fucking crazy.
Dude,
Hashtag I'm a Democrat.
and that's the deal. We have big D Democrats in our life, right?
Yeah.
That we have to endure listening to their
Yes.
stupid fucking
Yes.
things they say. If they talk about sexual assault again, I'm gonna just shut the fuck up. Shut
Yeah.
up.
It's not important
no,
to you, as evidenced by this.
because it was one of your people that you liked. So, who handled coronavirus worse than any other person in the country other than our governor? And
How many people in nursing homes died because of Cuomo?
Right.
There you go.
More than any other state. And also I was thinking about it today in the car actually, where it's Cuomo would, with his nipple rings, would definitely sexually assault someone. Gavin Newsom would sexually assault, rape, and then kill them.
Yeah,
couldn't you kind of see that?
Exactly.
Yeah,
there's no evidence because the person's dead.
Right. So anyway, that's that. Let's see. We'll get to that in a moment.
Oh my god.
We already got Steve. So I've been playing Cyberpunk 2077. People are fucking mad about that game.
They are. I saw a post of a dude who posted, I think, on the subreddit, and he was like, I took off 2 weeks of work for this, 2 weeks unpaid from work so I could play this game, and I'm just crying. I am so disappointed. It's oh man.
I gotta fix my thing. Hang on.
Your thing? Oh, Jordan's taken to wearing hair ties.
Well, because you see why, guys. I mean, Jesus fucking Christ. I mean, this is crazy.
I could do the same, but
But
I choose not to because I'm a real man who doesn't need a man bun, you know?
Wow, you're gonna insult my masculinity. I see that.
No, I actually am going to
see,
start
this is what I
wearing
should have done
headbands.
before. I had too much of the back hairs in it, and it looked stupid.
That looks great, Bones. I think you look fantastic.
But it
I
is
Are you using a rubber band?
No, it's no. It
Oh,
would
thank
pull your
goodness.
hair because No, I got actual hair ties.
Thank goodness.
I have not. Okay, I've not felt this feminine in my gay life, and I'm loving it.
I'm so glad
Because
we started painting our nails. Mine are still not painted because I've just been too lazy. But
because I don't care about what people think. I already didn't before the pandemic. Afterwards, I'm I don't give a shit. Like
Yeah.
if I used to like stumble out of the house in sweatpants and like be all hungover and like walking the dog and being like, oh God, like everyone's looking at me. They're going to work. Now I'm like, yeah, fuck it. I smell like shit. I don't fucking care. Like
I've worn the same pair of sweatpants for 3 days in a row.
Yeah.
So yeah, fuck it. I also like yesterday. I wore those sweatpants all day, and I just wore a baggy sweater all day. I did not change out of those clothes.
Mm-hmm.
I showered and I did not even change clothes.
Why would
because
you?
who fucking cares?
Who cares?
I'm home all day. It doesn't matter. It's not like I'm doing like hard labor in any of my clothes that I need to wash them immediately. Yeah,
Craig.
the limp-wristed fear in Sean's voice when he thought Jordan was gonna tie his hair with a rubber band.
I'm not that stupid. Like I know that fucking hurts. Like even putting like, cause like I'm not a very hairy person. Like I don't have chest hair at all. But like I do have like hair on my hands, and like even putting a rubber band on my hand will pull the hair.
It pulls out your arm hair.
It's painful. Yeah.
I can't do it.
So yeah, no, I got a whole pack of.
I love that you did that. I want to get some. Headbands. Oh, maybe I'll try this. I'll try it right now.
Yeah.
Let's see, what color is my hair? Brown.
But I was like, I'm doing this right now because I'm tired of wearing hats because I feel like I need to do something more fashionable, and it actually ties into cyberpunk because everyone's a fucking samurai and they all have their hair like this.
Hell yeah.
And so like I feel like I'm kind of in the moment, but for that game, it's not finished. It's broken.
It's broken as fuck.
It's broken. I'm guessing I'm about 30% into the story because I've been like doing a lot of side missions and stuff.
Yeah.
But the issues people are complaining about aren't the real issues. It looks not bad.
No, my hair.
I think yours is like more even than mine. My top part of my hair was so long that it's easy for me to do this.
I'm taking this out.
I feel weirdly powerful and manly doing it.
It is a power move. It's like, look, I'm confident enough to wear my hair back in a ponytail.
But
in a bun.
If it was like if it was a man bun, it would be too much. But anyway, so sorry.
I love when people get into like burping fits and they're trying to get out a sentence. It happens so often to people. And
happens
me too.
To me,
but like,
I think more often.
But
than
it's like people they still try to get out the sentence, and I'm like, just.
I think this sphincter here for me, like in that part of my esophagus, is like not the best.
That's a sphincter I have not seen. That's an inch of your body I have not explored.
Tom says now you can live the life of us old retired farts. I'm not really sure what it's reference to. But the going outside and like looking like shit. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
No, agreed. And Tom, you're living your best life, and I'm glad that because the government made me retired. The government made me retarded. So like now I can go outside and do whatever I want. Cyberpunk, yeah. So like it's interesting because like what people are mad about, like so the bugs are the big issue, right? Like everyone's like the bugs. I'm not like so I'm running the game on. Like I wish I had a way to turn around the camera, but like on a MacBook Pro, where like I have it maxed out for what I do for work, which is music production, which you need RAM, you don't need a graphics card. So my graphics card is like tiny second up from the bottom tier of the graphics card.
Yeah.
But I think the game's running all right for me because I have 32 gigs of RAM, which I think is
insane,
which no one needs. I figured I would like. I wanted to own the computer for 10 years without it causing me a problem.
And I think you'll have it for 10 years
I do too,
without a problem.
Because like I maxed it out to a point that doesn't even make sense for software. But for music production, it's great. I can run like fucking giant sample programs and I get no latency issues or any problems.
Yeah.
But I think that it's taking the labor off of my graphics card, and the game runs. What's crazy to me is on this MacBook Pro that has like a fan the size of a fucking cat's asshole. Is running the game better than it looks on consoles. Yeah. That's the big fucking problem. Is that like it looks like dog shit on consoles. It looks like what I expected it to look like on mine. Which is like I know I have to scale everything down for my system. And like keep in mind too, this runs on like shit on consoles, and I'm running a fucking MacBook that I boot into Windows to play video games.
Yes.
So this game was not ready to be put out. But fortunately for me, I had no expectations of what it was supposed to be or what I was looking forward to. I was just kind of like, oh, this game's finally out. I'm going to play it now. And so like I'm enjoying the story. The combat's fucking shitty. The biggest fucking problem of the whole game is the AI. Like, that I disappeared for 4 months playing Red Dead Redemption 2. Like I got obsessed with that game. And
Yeah,
the AI.
I was beginning to wonder if you broke up with me and I just forgot.
Yeah, well, I was dating Arthur Morgan for 4 months. So that game though, what was amazing about it was like, you would, there's a wagon coming down the way and someone's driving the wagon. You got in the way, they'd be like, get the fuck out of the way, and then you could like not move, and they start to get more and more aggressive, or you could just be like, hey, fuck off, and they'd come off and try to shoot you.
Yeah.
Like, so there was interaction with the NPCs. In Cyberpunk, you get hit by a car all the time, by the way, because it's only in first person. So like when you're crossing streets, you can't see cars anywhere. It also makes the stealth in the game useless. I mean, there's no stealth. It's like literally I've just become samurai sword, fuck everybody up when I have to deal with them kind of person. So you can't see cars, but like when the cars run over you and you draw your gun on them, they're just like
unbelievable. There's just no response.
And the other part of it too, so like, Grand Theft Auto, all these things, like with cops, so like you'll shoot a civilian in the head, right? Horrible thing to do in the game. Should have massive impact on your gameplay. Like, with Red Dead Redemption 2, it was honor, like, which would affect the entire game. The cops just spawn out of fucking nowhere. They're just there in like 0.5 seconds and shooting you in the face. And then you run 2 blocks and then you're out of it's
They're
over.
Gone.
You're not dealing with it anymore. But people saying that the game wasn't worth the money, on consoles, you should look for a refund. It looks like shit.
Yeah.
But if you can play it well enough, the story so far is interesting enough to where it's worth $60 to me. Like, I have gotten more entertainment out of this than, like, let's say I rented a movie on Amazon for $4, right? I've now played 30 hours of the game, so that's now like $120.
Well, yeah.
So like, it's paid for itself.
Carry
easily.
the one. Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Pays for
me with math. I'm a retard on that. So, but yeah, like I don't, and to me the bugs are they're just funny. They make me laugh because they're just so absurd sometimes. But what's weird about watching it was like it's almost like they didn't focus on the elements that were important to making like an RPG, and so like I've heard The Witcher is really great and like has RPG elements that are well executed, these kinds of things, which is the other game they made before, CD Projekt Red made before Cyberpunk. But it's like they focused on making the world enormous, which is cool, but it's so much of it is like not even explorable because it's fucking hard to drive vehicles to actually explore it. And so it's like, why don't you just make the world smaller, focus on like these RPG elements first, like in executing like the character thing, and then build the world out if you could in time. And they just didn't. They just picked the wrong timing to do things. And but the fun part for me is it's like with Steam, I spent $60 on this game. When I decide to play it again, when it's all fixed, I'll probably have a better system to play it on.
Yeah.
And we'll just enjoy it again as like a girl or something.
Yeah.
So like, Sean helped me design my character. We're a male with a massive uncircumcised cock.
A big uncut hog. But he looks like you. He's got the same hair.
He mostly looks like, he looks pretty close to me. Yeah.
Yeah. I think we did a pretty good job on that. And
the body tattoos we picked kind of look like mine too.
They're they're Americana, The Witcher is great except for that 2-sword combat and the heal mechanics.
Oh, Dalreese.
Says Dalreese. Yeah,
He's also a fellow Red Dead player.
I'm so glad that we have a gaming community. We want to get back into games on this channel.
So like when we do this, like I was telling Sean and like don't hold your breath, but like because it's money, like it's the problem.
Yes.
But so like if I can plan this room out well enough, I would love to like my camera right now, like so I'm looking up at the TV, which is like my monitor, which it'll still be there for like this new place. But if we can get a third camera to where we can have it here again, we'll do like a gaming channel.
I would love that.
Yeah,
I would really love
it would be really fun. But it won't be this channel. It will probably do like a separate one. So people like Dab won't have to wade into our political discussions to find Animal Crossing content.
Yeah, of course.
But so yeah, that's that. Like
we got to talk about Mayor Cheat.
Mayor Pete. Yeah.
He's going to be the new Secretary of Transportation. You know who had a really good take on this is Ben Mora.
Oh yeah,
he said, "Come on, Joe, it's 2020. Stop making a gay person secretary." And he's right. Mayor Pete being a gay man, it's homophobic that he is that he's being appointed secretary.
What was funny to me is like, Queerty, like that
Queerty, yes.
They
Queerty.
had a tweet today that was like, first openly gay cabinet member of all time, and you're like, Richard Grinnell, Trump did this already.
Yeah.
This already happened.
He is second.
He's a second openly gay. And Richard Grinnell was in a more important position than Pete, because like when I was first hearing about that Pete was going to get appointed, it was like, first it was veteran services, and I was comfortable with that. I was like, yeah,
that makes sense.
He is a veteran, like who should be in that. And then it was ambassador to China, and I was like, the mayor of a town that nobody heard of before, like he's gonna fucking talk to Xi, like get the fuck out of here. Like, are you serious? Like
what the fuck?
Like, especially somebody who, like Xi, who I believe, like Xi Jinping,
our glorious
Supreme
leader,
Gentleman of
our
China,
future glorious leader,
the Supreme Gentleman of China, is very much, I can tell, an art of war person, where it's like, make your enemy irritated until they act like a fool, and then you'll be able to move in around by manipulating everybody else who is mad at the fool. Like, that's essentially what the art of war is, and he does it all the time. He's great at it. I hate him, but he's good at this particular thing. Pete is probably the best example of somebody who talks a lot but doesn't say a fucking thing. And so do you think like Xi Jinping would let that person, like let Mayor Pete get anything crossed? Not to mention, the Chinese hate gay people. Like they are not like, we've talked about it, and we probably could devote another episode to it. Like, Asians, you think America's racist? You have no idea. Like just look into Asia. Like look into how Japan, China looks at the Philippines and Thailand.
See how they treat lesser, I'm putting quotes around that, lesser Asian populations.
Not to mention, they have fucking concentration camps in China.
Yeah.
But that's a whole other thing. So, like when they were saying ambassador to China, I was like, get the fuck out of here. You serious? So now, Pete is the head of, the short bus committee. So like, I don't. I don't.
Did you see how so he has like virtually zero record on transportation, but did you see the one part of his record that does exist? The kid who got killed at a traffic stop that he removed the lights from?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then said that the kid should have looked both ways before he crossed the street, was his only explanation as to why the kid died.
When a year before, Mayor Pete is the one who decided to remove that traffic stop.
And by the way, just to show how ineffective Mayor Pete is, when I was the 5th grade class president, elementary school, 5th grade class president, I lobbied to get a traffic light put in after a kid got hit crossing the street near the elementary school.
Yeah.
And I got it to go through.
You got it.
And I was 11 years old, 10. I was 10 years old.
Yeah. You have a bigger record.
I have
of
more of a record
transportation.
of transportation than Mayor Pete does. Yes. And so could it be any?
I was a crossing guard. I was a safety guard, a safety and crossing guard at my elementary school. I have a better record than he does.
Right.
I wore like a sash for like half a semester. I gave it up.
That's still a good amount. And you're very responsible, so I'm sure you did a very good job.
I was like, it made it so that I was like hall monitor. I was like safety guard. So if anybody was like running or anything, like I had a whistle. So I was a cop. I have more experience than cops do.
Right.
But also like crossing guard stuff, like just immediate crosswalks, like right from the school across tiny little streets, but still.
Right. So
I'm more of a transportation secretary than Mayor Pete.
And Greg lives in Indiana, so like he probably knows like how tiny South Bend is.
He just said,
South Bend, no offense, Greg, Indiana is so inconsequential that Parks and Rec was literally, the show Parks and Rec was designed to make fun of how inconsequential Indiana is.
Yeah.
Like, and so it's just like, could it be any more clear that what we all suspected, which was that he held out, and like the shadow app and all this shit was like a construct of his probably CIA roots.
Yeah.
Was definitely something that was executed to construct a favor for him. Is it any more clear? He is so unqualified to serve in a presidential he's not been a senator. He's not done anything. Like and like Obama got shit for being a junior senator, and like he's not qualified to do this. Pete, like I've not seen anything like this before. Like I've seen governors get in where I'm like, oh, governor's not quite a fucking mayor of a town that none of us have heard of, and he's in Biden's cabinet.
Right, exactly.
It's crazy. Like, it's absolutely crazy. And, like, as a gay person, I just hate that he is who white straight women largely will be like, aren't you glad that Mayor Pete
They're brunch Democrats. Brunch Democrats will
Pajama
tell
class.
us to be happy.
They'll
that
eat brunch
Mayor
in their
Pete-
pajamas, yeah.
Yeah. Brunch Democrats will tell us to be happy that Mayor Pete is now the Secretary of Transportation.
I hate him so much.
I wonder if he'll wear like brown tweed skirts to work now since he's a secretary.
If he did, I actually would think it'd make him more interesting. He is like literally a bag full of toenails. Like, I mean, like it just could not be any less interesting. Like, do you want to open the bag and see the toenails? Like, no, I don't want to see them. Like, they're gross. Like, there's there's people's toenails.
They smell.
They smell. Probably. Like, I don't know if they do. These people might have showered, but like, I'm not curious enough to open the bag. That's Pete Buttigieg. That's who he is.
Yeah.
And like with his equally as milquetoast husband, like they are just the worst.
Who he has chained in his basement.
Like if Nina Turner was a dyke, I would be so into it. By the way, she's running for Congress. Yeah.
She is. I'm so excited for her.
Fudge's seat. Yeah. So I'm glad she.
Fudge's.
I'm glad she announced it and like, but like, dude, if there was like a gay male equivalent of Nina Turner, and it was Pete, I would be like, fuck yeah.
Yeah, get
but
him in.
He is what I think is the algorithm version of what a gay person is supposed to be in politics, which is hilarious because like especially when it's in the Democratic Party, right? So we have two options as gay people. We watch Hollywood media where every gay is like, hello, like they have to be like hilarious and over the top and gay. Like every
Carson Kressley's of the world.
or Harvey Firestein, like they all have to be like, where's my medicine? Like it has to like always be that person in media. Or it's in politics it's Pete Buttigieg where there's no discernible opinion that would have been formed by the fact that you grew up gay. There's not like nothing about it. Like, and like if you grew up gay and were in politics, like you would probably see that Tulsi Gabbard's bill makes sense. Like that's kind of where you would go. But if you're a total like robot of the Democratic establishment, then you are Pete Buttigieg, which it's like them because they're so out of touch and 80 and worth $100 million. It's like, here's your faggot. Enjoy this faggot on TV now. This will be the one that you'll enjoy. You'll love him.
Here's your faggot. You'll love him.
You'll love him so much. He's going to be the best with his weird rat face. Like that's who you're going to love. And his boyfriend Chasten puts everything on silver-plated platters. Like his decorations when we have dinner at his house.
You should see the cocktails, sweetheart.
Oh my God, it has muddled mint. It's going to be the best cocktail you ever had. So I hate it.
Yes, I totally agree. We have two more things to talk about.
All right, let's run through them.
We got to talk about Tom Cruise and we got to talk about Jimmy Dore.
Let's do Jimmy Dore first.
Yeah.
I adore what he's doing right now. Jimmy Dore.
Yes.
So Jimmy Dore is basically forcing AOC into not being a person that thinks through which she can portray herself as a working progressive for working people that elected her to have this job by posting about how much she cares on Twitter. Now she actually has to act. And like so much, like this has caught so much steam that she actually responded to it in the dumbest fucking way. So if you guys don't know, what Jimmy Dore's done is said that like, Ilhan Omar, Ayanna Pressley, all the squad. Like, and there's like, there's now Cori Bush, there's Jamal Bowman, there's all these people. They have enough votes to not approve Nancy Pelosi to be Speaker of the House again, right?
Right.
And so progressives finally have the power to get what they want in order to elect 80-year-old, $114 million Nancy Pelosi to become the most powerful person in the Democratic Party.
Yeah.
Other than, Joe, 80-year-old dementia Biden. Yeah. But they're not going to do it. I know they're not going to do it. And he knows it. He knows it. And I think what I love about him, and like, again, to the beginning of this, where there's things that Republicans talk about, don't dismiss. Like there are plenty of there are tons of things I don't agree with Jimmy Dore on. Like Medicare for all, I don't think is a very feasible thing now. It may be in the future, but I think holding people hostage with an extreme thing like it will make progress happen. So I'm all for this.
Yes. So what did he do? So
what he said was so he's now created this campaign that's gone viral where it's like, if you guys don't like, if essentially what he's put like all these people in the corner of is like, if you don't like threaten to veto Nancy Pelosi's reassignment to this position, you're not progressives anymore. Like, you are just part of the Democratic establishment.
So he said you can withhold your vote. You should withhold your vote if Nancy Pelosi does not agree
To Medicare for all.
to Medicare
Simple.
for all.
Very simple.
That's what it is.
Yep.
So,
Or like not agreeing to like bring it to the floor to vote, and he knows that it'll probably lose. Like he said that, but he's like, the majority of the American public wants it. So it's like, these people are not representing us. So like, if you guys are truly progressive and like people of the people, prove it. Prove it. And she won't. I know she fucking won't.
and so AOC responded to him and is saying, like, you don't know how it works.
That's exactly what it was. Yep.
Yeah. Embarrassing. Super embarrassing. But Jimmy Dore is doing the right thing by putting pressure on these politicians because he's in a position of influence.
And doesn't and is in the great position of influence, kind of like how I would hope public figures to be. If he doesn't care if he talks to AOC over his show anymore. Doesn't care.
Yeah.
He's like, I don't care if you like me. I do not care. You are here to serve us.
Yeah.
You're here to serve us. Like that's what you're, a public servant. That's what you are. And so like, because like, how many years have I been saying that I think that she is like central casting politician? I don't think she's a fucking real person. I really don't.
Yeah.
And like anytime she proposes something progressive, like, and which is why I love he's framed it this way, is it's like she pillories the whole argument with identity politics. It's like, you know, we're in a pandemic. People you're shutting down their businesses. They need money. Like, I'm watching my neighborhood struggle, and Brussels sprouts are racist. And you're like,
oh my God
damn it, you stupid bitch. Like, just stick with what will actually be popular with the American people, and then the country will become progressive, but you guys can't fucking do it. You can't do it. And so, like, even though, like, I don't agree with everything on Jimmy Dore politically, to see him really just fucking holding them hostage, like, and seeing that, like, this is more effective than what MSNBC has the influence of doing, or Fox News or whatever else. It's interesting to watch. And I think that she's going to reveal herself as what I expect to be a fucking fraud. So that's that. Anyway.
That's that. Let's talk about Tom Cruise.
Yeah, so...
our last thing.
So Tom Cruise had what I suspected to be... But when I saw the headlines, it was hard to find the fucking actual recording because it's just all commentary or articles just explaining the tirade. Right. So Tom Cruise is working on the 7th Mission Impossible movie.
Good Lord.
Right, and I would say that dismissively if I wasn't a fucking total homosexual for these movies. I love them so much. I love that tiny psychopath a lot, and sincerely, what it is that, like, he knows what he is and isn't. He's done characters before. Like, I've showed you Collateral, right? Where he played
we've never seen Collateral.
With Jamie Foxx. We
never watched it.
Oh, we might have to tonight. Okay. So he, like, it's the only movie that I could, like, there's a handful of movies, like, I was talking about Magnolia, where he plays like a character, and like, he has a range of certain characters he can play that aren't just Tom Cruise. Yeah. But Mission Impossible is just Tom Cruise at his best. Being Tom Cruise. Yeah. But he is somebody who is so wealthy and so important to the franchise that the insurance policy was so high, he just started paying to make them. Like, that's what he started doing.
Yeah.
So, so this production got shut down once in the beginning of the pandemic because it was starting to fuck everything up. And then he started this rant we're about to play where it seemed like he was going to go full Christian Bale. But just, let's not talk about, just let it play.
Let it play.
Yeah. And I want to see what you guys think. All right, here we go. Now. Boop.
I hate that.
You're back there in Hollywood making movies right now because of us. Because they believe in us and what we're doing. I'm on the phone with every...
The video's not related.
Yeah, video's not related.
Insurance companies. Producers. And they're looking at us and using us to make their movies. We are creating thousands of jobs, you I don't ever want to see it again. Ever. And if you don't do it, you're fired. And I see you do it again, you're gone. And anyone on this crew does it. That's it. And you too, and you too, and you. Don't you ever do it again. to the people that are losing their homes because our industry is shut down. It's not going to put food on their table or pay for their college education. That's what I sleep with every night. The future of this industry. So I'm sorry, I'm beyond your apologies. I have told you, and now I want it. And if you don't do it, you're out. We are not shutting this movie down. Is it understood? If I see it again, you're gone. And so are you. So you're going to cost him his job. And I see it on the set, you're gone. And you're gone. That's it. Am I clear? Do you understand what I want? Do you understand the responsibility that you have? Because I will deal with your reason. And if you can't be reasonable, and I can't deal with your logic, you're fired. That's it. That is it.
So Greg was saying that he couldn't quite understand him. So like I realized I didn't set it up very well. So what he's mad about was that people were breaking like COVID regulations on the set, right? And keep in mind this movie's like already been like it's already been shut down like over these kinds of things, and
yeah. Sorry, we just got a couple people.
I'll explain. So like what's wild about it is like it starts out sounding like Christian Bale, where it's like just this fucking wild tirade of this super rich, privileged person ranting about, the movie being shut down and all this. But then quickly he goes into thousands of people, like hundreds of people lose their jobs over this. Like, and he made the comment, he said this exact words of like people will lose their houses if they can't work on this movie. And he's like, that's hard to sleep with at night is what he says. And it's never about him. It's never,
right.
And keep in mind, his production company pays for these movies. It's not about him. It was literally about the people who work on the movie that are like making a living while all this shit is destroying the industry every day.
Yeah. I worked on a film set not too long ago, and it was, like we were filming outside, and of course I was like, God, this is so silly. I have to wear a mask all day. But like, it's the easiest thing in the world to just wear a mask and not like get too close to other people.
Right.
It's really not hard. And also it was so cool to see like because this was a small thing, which you're also working on, but like it was a small thing that like to see everybody come together to want to do this,
and to do the right thing,
to wear a mask all day, to like keep their distance, unless they're on screen when they would take it off.
And so probably who he was yelling at, and we'll probably find out eventually, was probably like some assistant to like the cinematographer who makes like, $250,000 a year that has no concern about the people who are like doing catering and like doing
and
makeup
gaffers and grips and wardrobe and makeup. Yeah. Like
which is like who oddly tiny psychopath Tom Cruise was defending, even though he's worth more money than God. So like we can kind of take an example from Tom Cruise in that.
Yeah, gaffers and grips are the ones who are paying their college education. They're the ones who are like trying to pay rent. This is their only job.
And him to say like when you're in those fits of rage like that, it's hard to articulate yourself in a way that isn't embarrassing.
Yeah.
And for him to say that it's hard for me to sleep at night thinking about these things.
Yes.
Tom Cruise.
Tom Cruise, yeah.
It was
if Tom Cruise can do it, you can too.
Public opinion is like, oh, what a fucking asshole. But like, I listen to it.
I'm with him.
No,
yeah.
And like, there's not really, that was wild. Like a wild, like for a man who is completely unself-aware. I mean, watch the Matt Lauer interview where he's talking about like, people don't need psychiatric drugs and jumping on Oprah's couch. Like this person has not been self-aware for most of their life. Right. Scientology, like all the shit you guys know. This was like probably the most self-aware I've ever heard Tom Cruise in my entire life. And it was epic.
Yeah. We could say like eat the rich, but Tom Cruise is the one funding this whole production, which gives them the jobs, which pays them.
I mean,
so it's like
people like, he would never say this in public because like a PR stuff, but like it's kind of interesting at least because like imagine if rich people talked like this to the people that weren't, just like I I like, Tom Cruise is super rich, like individually, right? Like liquid cash, he probably has like probably close to $1 billion at this point. But it's like he uses that money to fund a production company that employs a lot of people like you and I.
Mm-hmm.
So Anyway, I just wanted to play it just because like the online take was like, what an asshole, and then I was like, nope. Mm-mm.
Yeah, that's not the case.
Yeah, and Perry says shockingly based. Indeed.
Yeah, exactly.
For Tom fucking Cruise, I mean, get the fuck out of here. I mean, like that is so bizarre to hear that from him.
Agreed.
So, anyway, that's about all I got.
Yeah. So a reminder for next week: we will not be here live in person. We'll be premiering our first ever episode, the lost episode that we currently have privated. So you guys will see that if you haven't already, when it was still up. Because we are moving. We're moving into a new space. So the next time you see us live together, we will be in a new space.
So the best case scenario is January 6th.
Yes.
But I don't think that's likely. I wrote that tweet. So like you kind of see, like I was already giving my hesitance about it. Because like I'm an amateur handyman. So like I have things I'm able to do to kind of like make it look right. But the walls are very white. But we don't really have curtains. Like there are investments and costs and
so echoes that you may hear. So like stuff like that.
So like it would just to all of you. Don't be shocked if it might take us the first 3 weeks of January to figure this out. So
we will keep you guys in the loop regardless.
Of course. But we love you all.
Thanks for the support.
Thank you for
do this.
Yeah, like thank you for like I know some of you are further left than me. Some of you are further. I think I'm probably more right than most of you, which is kind of wild too. Like of you guys see the value in people being able to talk like this. I'm not saying that we're saying anything more interesting than the average person. It's just that, like you care about what we have to say, and I'm very grateful for that. And I love you all, and have a very Merry Christmas. And a Happy New Year.
Yes. See you guys next time.
See you.
Love you.
Yep.
This is all wrong. That's no good. This come on, man. Stop. Come on, man. That's no good. How dare you! Basket.